According to multiple reports, the Washington Wizards are looking to trade Jonas Valanciunas at the trade deadline, and the Knicks are one of the top teams interested in trading for the big man. The only question is, what assets will the Knicks have to give up to get Jonas Valanciunas on the roster? Well, thanks to a recent report, we now understand what the Washington Wizards are seeking in any Jonas Valanciunas deal. We're going to break down those latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Jonas Valanciunas' price tag has been revealed. The Knicks were going to be active at the trade deadline. I think we all understood this when they failed to get a trade done before the season started. And once they signed Precious Achiuwa to that 1-year, $6 million deal, and they had him waive his no-trade clause, I think we all understood a trade was going to be coming. Now, I think a lot of names are going to be out there and linked to the Knicks at the trade deadline. But the one name I want the Knicks to look at and focus on is Jonas Valanciunas. Right now, apart from any other big man that could be available in terms of fit, price point, price tag, and where he would be on the pecking order for this Knicks team behind Mitchell Robinson and could start if Robinson goes down, he is probably the perfect fit right now for the Knicks, and his cost is perfect in terms of what the Knicks would be willing to give up. Let's break down these latest reports about the Knicks and their interest in Valanciunas and what it would take for the Knicks to get Valanciunas on this roster. Shout out the Bleacher Report for giving us the following information. The Wizards are likely to trade Valanciunas. The expectation around the NBA is that the big man may be moved to a contender in December. And if you haven't noticed already, the Knicks are contenders. So that's a check right there. Shout out the Fansided for giving us the following information. According to them, the Wizards are expected to trade Valanciunas eventually. The Lithuanian 7-footer inked a 3-year, $30 million contract in the early stages of free agency. After getting squeezed for minutes in New Orleans, he gets a chance to build up serious value in a major role for the rebuilding Wizards. He figures to start next to the number 2 overall pick, Alex Sarr, in the front court, offering useful physicality and rim protection as Sarr tests the NBA waters for the first time. 3-year, $30 million contract. That's a perfect tradable contract for the Wizards. We could use Precious Achiuwa and whoever we sign with the mid-level exception to make that trade work as well. So I love being able to do that. And clearly, he is not in the future plans for the Washington Wizards. He is not even going to be a number 1 option for them. He is playing next to the number 1 option on the Wizards. And likely, he is not going to be in that rotation for much longer, especially if they're looking to move him near the trade deadline. Now, they may opt to play him significant minutes before the trade deadline so they can maximize his value to get the best return possible. However, there's a risk of doing that as well, too. Because of his age, if you play him a lot and significant minutes, you could risk injury. So they're going to have to balance it a lot. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it's clear his role on the Wizards is not going to be permanent. He's already playing second fiddle to their number 1 option, and that's only going to last as long as they want it to. Once Washington gets more assets and gets more new talent on that roster, he's going to start falling in the pecking order on that team. Going to a contender makes the most sense for him right now. But what is going to be the cost? What is the cost to get Jonas Valanciunas on this team? Is it only going to be Precious Achiuwa and whoever the Knicks sign with the mid-level exception? Is that enough to get the Wizards to trade him to this team? I don't think so. The Knicks are likely going to have to sweeten the deal. And what are they going to have to include in that package to sweeten the deal? Well, according to Fansided, they state Washington is reportedly coveting a first-round pick in return for Valanciunas, but it's too far out to know what exactly the market will be. If the Wizards recoup enough collective value on the player front, perhaps a handful of second-round picks will be enough. The Knicks aren't exactly flush with movable first-round picks after the Mikal Bridges trade. While it is true, the Knicks do not have a lot of tradable picks at their disposal right now, what they do have is something very important, and it might be only important to Washington, not really any other teams. we have a protected first-round pick from the Washington Wizards. Now, you might say to yourself, that doesn't really matter, Troy. That pick will never convey. True. But the Wizards have no control over that pick as long as the Knicks own it. But if the Knicks include that pick with Precious Achiuwa, whatever player they sign with that mid-level exception as well too, and they offer that to Washington, that fulfills their first-round pick asset. So we gave them back their first-round pick. We're giving them Achiuwa and a mid-level exception, so that meets the money there as well too. If they want an extra pick, we have the Detroit pick we can include. If they want another asset, we can potentially include Campaign. We can potentially include Jericho Sims. We have some options here, but I think we have enough to make an enticing offer to Washington to get Jonas Valanciunas on this team. So I think all signs point to the Knicks making a very good offer to Washington and getting this deal done. Because even though other teams may want him, I think the Knicks, in terms of contenders that are going to be speaking to Washington, are going to give them the best trade package on the table, specifically because we're giving them their first-round pick back. I don't care if it matters to anybody else. Without a doubt, it matters to Washington. And this is why the Knicks can get this trade done. Fansided also offered us the following mock deal that potentially the Knicks could utilize to get Valanciunas on this roster. In this potential trade, the Knicks would get Valanciunas, and we would be giving the Washington Wizards Precious Achiuwa, Campaign, Keita Bates-Diop, and 3 second-round picks. I gotta say, if that is the trade on the table at the trade deadline, I am making that move every single time. We get another player that helps this Knicks roster get better and makes us even more of a contender moving forward. And we keep our core players in the process. You gotta love that. And maybe if they don't want to do that, but they rather Precious Achiuwa, whatever player we sign with that mid-level exception, and we're giving them back their first-round pick, and maybe we also give them those second-round picks as well too. Maybe that's enough for them to want to do the deal with the Knicks, make that trade happen, and trade Jonas Valanciunas to our roster. That would be something that I would be okay with as well too, because it's very unlikely that Washington pick is ever going to convey. So you might as well utilize it to get an impactful player, a player that you actually need, a backup center that can play starter minutes if needed. And Jonas can do that. I would love if the Knicks made this move, either trade. I would do both of those trades in a heartbeat because both of those trades satisfy the exact same thing. They help us upgrade at the center position. They make this Knicks roster better now and in the future. We are even more of a contender than we were before we made the trade. And even more than that, we keep our core players. And that's the main reason I think the Knicks would make any deal. Keeping the core intact and being a better team, that's important. That's important when we're talking about the playoffs, chemistry, and what team we want to have moving forward. The Knicks are thinking long-term here, not in the short term. And that's why a move like this takes time. We couldn't get it done in the offseason. So we didn't panic and make a panic move. We waited, we made the right move, and now we're in place come the trade deadline to make another impactful move to help us get better. That's what you need to do in this type of situation, and that's exactly what I think the Knicks have done here. Regardless of how the Knicks get it done, whatever trade package is on the table, as long as our core pieces are not involved, I'm going to be okay with it. And it's clear at this point in time, the Knicks are likely not going to have to include any core pieces to get Valanciunas on this team. And that's why Leon Rose and this Knicks front office is going to focus on this trade and get it done. Mark my words. Come the trade deadline, this is the move that is going to happen. The only thing that can prevent it is if another team comes over the Knicks' head with a better offer, a more lucrative offer. If that happens, then it is what it is. The Knicks cannot stop that from happening, and the Knicks won't be able to match that offer. But if that doesn't happen, and the Knicks are one of the main contenders interested in Valanciunas, New York is getting Valanciunas on the roster. Because as I just said, the package that we have, it's hard for any other contender, note the word there, contender, to match the Knicks offer. But what about you guys? What do you think about these trade packages? Would you do either one of them to get Valanciunas on this team? Are you interested in Valanciunas? Do you think it's the right move for the Knicks to go after him at the trade deadline? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.